The Young and the Restless spoilers for Friday, January 31st, 2025. Ian Ward paced the dimly lit room, his shadow flickering on the cracked walls as the single overhead bolt swayed gently. His face was a storm of anger, grief, and an unshakable obsession. The name was a whisper on his lips, a wound that refused to heal. Her death had not only shattered his plans, but also something deeper, something far more personal. There was no denying it now. Ian had loved Jordan in his own twisted way. She had been a partner he admired, respected, even desired. She was his equal, the only one who challenged his schemes while understanding his ambition. In his mind, they could have been unstoppable, a force to rival any alliance in Genoa City. But Jordan's refusal to align herself with him had been the fatal flaw in their connection. Her independence, her refusal to bend to his will, had driven a wedge between them, one that Ian could not forgive or forget. Her death was a bitter pill, but it wasn't justice. It was a tragedy, and Ian Ward, in his spiraling madness, blamed everyone but himself. Ian's prisoner, Tessa's anguish. In the cold, dark confines of the underground bunker, Tessa Porter screamed until her voice was hoarse. The walls absorbed her anguish, her cries bouncing back to her as if mocking her despair. Her wrists were raw from the ropes that bound her, her body trembling from the chill and exhaustion. But it wasn't the physical pain that consumed her, it was the realization of her own naivety. She had trusted Ian. If I ever get out of here, she thought, her tears falling freely now, I'll tell her the truth. All of it. I'll beg her to forgive me. Even if she never wants to see me again, I'll make sure she knows how much I love her. The thought of Mariah's face, her fiery eyes, her protective nature, was the only thing keeping Tessa from giving up entirely. She repeated the words to herself like a mantra. I'll get out of here. I'll make things right somehow. Ian's strategy. Love and power. Ian's attention drifted back to the chessboard of his mind. Every piece represented someone he could manipulate. Tessa's cries from the bunker reached his ears, but he barely flinched. She was a tool, nothing more, her usefulness fading as the days wore on. His real focus was on rebuilding, finding someone or something to fill the void Jordan's death had left behind. She could have been great, Ian muttered to himself, his voice low and unhinged. We could have ruled together. But no, she had to choose her own path. Her own ego destroyed us both. In the back of his mind, Ian's bitterness twisted into resolve. If Jordan couldn't be his partner, he would find another way to honor her memory or avenge it, perhaps by tearing down everything she once valued, everything she believed in. Meanwhile, in Genoa City, Tessa and Mariah's fractured bond. Back in Genoa City, Mariah struggled to hold herself together as she searched for answers about Tessa's disappearance. Every moment without her fiancé felt like an eternity, her mind plagued by worst-case scenarios. And yet, there was a part of her that couldn't ignore the doubts Ian Ward had planted. Had Tessa willingly allied herself with him? Was she complicit in his schemes? Mariah hated herself for even considering it, but the uncertainty gnawed at her. Tessa's betrayal would break her, but the thought of never seeing her again was even worse. Her mind and heart were at war, leaving her in a constant state of turmoil. Sally and Billy, a new beginning. Amid the chaos enveloping the Newmans and Ian Ward's destructive plans, another story was quietly unfolding, a softer, more hopeful one. Sally Spectra, guarded as always, was beginning to let her walls down with Billy Abbott. Their connection had started as something simple, a shared sense of humor, a few candid conversations over coffee, but it was evolving into something deeper. Billy had seen Sally's vulnerable side, the part of her that was still healing from heartbreak and failure. He admired her strength, her resilience, and her determination to carve out a new path for herself. And Sally, for all her bravado, found herself drawn to Billy's calm and steady presence. One evening, after a long day at Chancellor Winter's, Sally found herself sitting across from Billy at society, her hands cradling a glass of wine. She hesitated, then spoke. "You know, I'm not really good at this." Billy raised an eyebrow. "At what? Dinner? You're doing fine so far." Sally rolled her eyes but smiled. "No, I mean opening up, trusting people. Every time I do, it backfires. So I'm just warning you, this, whatever this is probably a terrible idea." Billy leaned back in his chair, his eyes softening as he studied her. "Sally, I've made more mistakes than I can count. If anyone understands what it's like to screw up and try again, it's me. Maybe this isn't a terrible idea. Maybe it's exactly what we both need." The conversation hung in the air, unspoken promises lingering between them. Sally felt something she hadn't in a long time. Hope. What lies ahead? The threads of these stories, Ian Ward's madness, Tessa's imprisonment, Mariah's anguish, and Sally and Billy's tentative new connection, were weaving together into a tapestry of conflict, redemption, and intrigue. Would Ian's obsession with power and his bitterness over Jordan's death lead him to his ultimate downfall? Could Tessa escape and make amends with Mariah, or would Ian's grip tighten further? And would Sally and Billy's budding relationship survive the turbulence surrounding them, or would it crumble under the weight of Genoa City's endless drama? Nikki's silent witness. Nikki Newman stood frozen in the shadows, her heart pounding so violently she feared it might give her away. She had watched Ian Ward grow increasingly unhinged, his weapon trained on Victor and Nick as he barked commands like a madman conducting an orchestra of chaos. Every fiber of Nikki's being screamed at her to intervene, to rush to Victor's side, but she knew better. Her past with Ian was a wound that had never fully healed. Years ago, she had been his victim, held captive by his lies, manipulation, and violence. She had felt the cold barrel of his gun pressed against her temple before, had seen the wild hatred in his eyes. The memories rushed back now, making her knees weak. She clutched the wall for support, tears threatening to spill down her face. "If I go out there, I'll only make things worse. I'll distract Victor. I'll give Ian more leverage," she repeated to herself like a mantra, trying to convince herself that staying hidden was the right choice. But the sight of Ian pointing the gun at her son and the love of her life made her stomach turn. From her vantage point, she could see Michael Baldwin, his face pale as he stood rooted to the spot. Michael had always been quick on his feet, always ready with a plan or a sharp word. But now, in the face of Ian's unpredictability, even he seemed lost. Michael's fear and Ian's offer. Michael's thoughts raced as Ian's gun wavered between him, Victor, and Nick. His hands were raised in surrender, his mind calculating every possible move. He knew Ian wasn't a man to bluff. He wouldn't hesitate to kill to prove a point. And Michael, for all his sharp wit and cunning, wasn't a Newman. He didn't have Victor's resources, Nick's brute strength, or even Nikki's indomitable spirit. He was just the family's lawyer, a loyal ally but ultimately expendable in Ian's eyes. Or so he thought. Ian's gaze settled on Michael, a sinister smile curling his lips. "You know, Michael," he said, his voice dripping with mockery, "I've always admired you. Sharp mind, quick tongue. Always in Victor's shadow, but smart enough to survive." Michael swallowed hard, his throat dry. "If you think flattery is going to win me over, Ian, you're wasting your time." Ian chuckled darkly. "Oh, I'm not flattering you, Michael. I'm making you an offer. You've spent years cleaning up the Newman's messes, putting your neck on the line for a family that would drop you the moment you became a liability. Why not switch sides? Work for me instead." Michael's breath caught in his throat. "Work for you? You're out of your mind." Ian shrugged, his gun still raised. "Think about it. I'm not asking you to betray anyone. I'm offering you freedom, power, a chance to work for someone who actually appreciates your talents instead of treating you like a glorified janitor." Michael's mind raced. He knew Ian was dangerous, but he also knew the man had a twisted sense of loyalty. If he refused outright, Ian might see him as a threat, someone who couldn't be swayed. And threats, Michael knew, didn't last long in Ian Ward's world. "I'm loyal to Victor," Michael said carefully, choosing his words as though walking the tightrope. "But even if I weren't, do you really think I'd trust someone like you?" Ian's smile faltered, his eyes narrowing. "Careful, Baldwin, I'm giving you a way out. Don't make me regret it." Victor and Nick, a dangerous game. Victor's gaze never left Ian, his mind working furiously to assess the situation. He knew Ian's fixation on control, his need to dominate every room he entered. The man thrived on fear, on making others dance to his tune, and right now, Ian was in his element. Nick, on the other hand, was barely containing his rage. His fists clenched at his sides, his body coiled like a spring ready to snap. "You think this is going to end well for you?" Nick spat, his voice laced with contempt. "You're outnumbered. You've already lost, Ian." Ian laughed, the sound sharp and grating. "Lost? Look around, Nicholas. I'm the one holding the gun. I'm the one calling the shots. You and your father are nothing without your money, your power, your people. Strip that away, and you're just scared little boys playing at being kings." Victor's voice was calm, but edged with steel. "Ian, you don't have to do this. Put the gun down, and we can talk." "Talk," Ian scoffed. "Talk about what, Victor? How you've spent your entire life crushing everyone who's dared to challenge you? How you've built an empire on the backs of people like me, people you've deemed unworthy." Victor took a step forward, his movements deliberate. "You think you're any different? You've hurt innocent people, destroyed lives. You're no better than the man you claim to hate." Ian's grip on the gun tightened, his face twisting with rage. "Shut up," he shouted, his voice cracking. "You don't know anything about me, about what I've lost, about what I deserve." Nikki's silent decision. From her hiding spot, Nikki watched the confrontation unfold, her heart breaking for Victor and Nick. She could see the strain on Victor's face, the fury in Nick's eyes, and she could see Ian unraveling, his emotions driving him to the brink of something catastrophic. For a moment, Nikki considered stepping out, offering herself as a distraction, a trade, anything to end this standoff. But she hesitated. "I'll only make things worse," she thought again, her hands trembling. "Victor knows what he's doing. I have to trust him." But deep down, Nikki knew the truth. Ian Ward was a man consumed by hatred and pain, and reason would only get them so far. If they were going to survive this, it would take more than words. The suspense lingers. Ian's gun remained steady as he scanned the room, his mind calculating his next move. Michael stood frozen, torn between self-preservation and loyalty. Victor and Nick, unarmed but unyielding, refused to back down. And Nikki, hidden in the shadows, prayed that whatever plan Victor was forming would work before it was too late. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, January 30, reveal that the Newmans will deal with the aftermath of the hostage mayhem Ian Ward launched at the ranch. An EMT will arrive on the scene and assess the situation now that there are 2 gunshot victims. Ian fired at Victor Newman before taking a bullet himself, but who will survive? Victor isn't leaving the show, so he's obviously going to pull through following his upcoming hospital visit. Ian, on the other hand, is nearing the end of his story arc, so will he face a grim fate? If Ian doesn't make it, Mariah Copeland will have more reasons to worry about Tessa Porter and Area Porter Copeland. Although Mariah's been holding out hope that there's some other explanation, she feels confident Ian is to blame for her missing wife and daughter deep down. Ian denied taking Tessa and Area, but he's also told plenty of lies since he came back to Genoa City. Maria's world will get turned upside down in Thursday's I and R episode, so she might learn Ian is deceased or at least in a coma. Despite Mariah's desire to wipe Ian off the map, she didn't want it to happen before Mariah and Tessa were found. Mariah may panic even more if she realizes Ian has taken Tessa and Mariah's location to the grave. Of course, it's possible someone else is behind Mariah and Tessa's kidnapping, but it's also possible the simplest answer is the right one if Ian indeed took them somewhere. No matter what mess they're stuck in, Tessa might plot an escape with Mariah or try to alert Mariah to where they are. One way or another, Mariah will hope for a family reunion as soon as possible. Over with Chance Chancellor, he'll investigate the confrontation that just played out between Ian and the Newman clan. Chance will get witness accounts and ultimately discover a shocking truth, so we'll bring you more predictions on all the huge news ahead. Even if Ian doesn't survive, he might try to blame Claire Newman and the other Newmans for Jordan's demise on the way out. Will Ian push Chance to get justice for Jordan? Regardless, the Young and the Restless spoilers say Chance will seek updates on all the wild Newman family drama, so stay tuned. In a shocking and emotional twist on Asterisk, the Young and the Restless Asterisk, Jordan takes drastic measures that threaten to upend lives in Genoa City. The drama escalates to an unprecedented level when Jordan kidnaps Sharon Newman, holding her hostage as part of a sinister plan to blackmail Nick Newman. This chilling move sets the stage for a week filled with tension, heartbreak, and life-or-death stakes as Nick races against time to save Sharon, all while grappling with the devastating implications of Jordan's scheme. The kidnapping leaves Sharon in a terrifying and vulnerable position. Having endured her share of challenges in the past, Sharon is no stranger to adversity, but the sudden abduction tests her resilience like never before. Stripped of her freedom and faced with the unpredictable and dangerous nature of her captor, Sharon must summon every ounce of courage to endure the ordeal and find a way to outsmart Jordan. Her plight adds a deeply personal and harrowing dimension to the unfolding drama, making the stakes all the more palpable for fans. For Nick, the situation is nothing short of a nightmare. Sharon is not only someone he has loved deeply, but also a cornerstone of his life. Her sudden disappearance, and the realization that Jordan is using her to manipulate him, ignite a fire within Nick, driving him to act with unrelenting determination. However, the situation is far more complex than a simple rescue mission. Jordan's demands force Nick into an impossible position, compelling him to make choices that could have far-reaching consequences for himself, Sharon, and their loved ones. Jordan's actions reveal a level of ruthlessness and desperation that underscores his willingness to go to any lengths to achieve his goals. His motives remain shrouded in mystery, but his decision to use Sharon as leverage suggests a personal vendetta or a high-stakes objective that involves Nick directly. As the layers of his plan begin to unravel, the question of what drove Jordan to such extremes looms large, adding a psychological and emotional depth to the storyline. The kidnapping sends shockwaves throughout Genoa City, drawing other characters into the unfolding drama. Nikki and Victor Newman, devastated by Sharon's predicament and determined to support Nick, find themselves at odds over the best course of action. Victor's instinct to take control and use his resources to track down Jordan clashes with Nikki's more cautious and emotionally driven approach. Their conflicting strategies create tension within the Newman family, highlighting the strain that such a high-stakes crisis places on even the strongest of bonds. Meanwhile, Sharon's children, Mariah and Faith, struggle to cope with their mother's disappearance. Their heartbreak and fear for Sharon's safety add an emotional layer to the story, as they rely on Nick and the rest of their family for strength, while grappling with their own feelings of helplessness. Mariah, in particular, takes an active role in the search for Sharon, determined to contribute in any way she can. Her fierce loyalty and resourcefulness shine through as she works alongside Nick and others to bring her mother home. As the days pass, the pressure mounts for Nick to meet Jordan's demands, while simultaneously working to outwit him. The race against time heightens the tension, as every decision Nick makes carries significant risks. Will he give in to Jordan's blackmail to ensure Sharon's safety, or will he find a way to turn the tables on his captor? The Young and the Restless spoilers recap for Wednesday, January 29, reveals that Victor Newman will urge Ian Ward to lower his weapon and make a deal with him. Ian will decide he's going down anyway, so he'll resolve to go out in a blaze of glory and take the whole Newman clan down with him. With that in mind, Ian will threaten to shoot Nick Newman if Victor doesn't call the rest of his children to the ranch. After Victor gets Adam Newman on the phone and summons him for an emergency, he'll seemingly do the same with Abby Newman. At one point on Wednesday's I and R episode, Ian will knock out Victor's security guard so he can focus on his vengeful mission without interference. As for Michael Baldwin, he'll be offered a chance to make a quick exit since he's not a blood Newman. However, Michael will insist on standing by Victor since he's been more of a father to him than the man who brought him into this world. Adam will walk into the chaos and fume over Ian holding the Newmans hostage. After Ian calls out to Nikki Newman upstairs, she'll come down with Victoria Newman and Claire Newman. Ian will comment on the slumber party and wonder where Abby is, but Victor will eventually admit he didn't call her. Victoria will also try to convince Ian to let Claire go, but he'll think she's proven she's a Newman and will rant about her role in Jordan's demise. Ian will speculate that Claire lured Jordan into a trap and will confirm he lied earlier since Jordan was indeed his partner. After Ian admits he fell in love with Jordan, he'll insist on getting justice for her. Victor will be willing to sacrifice himself as long as the rest of his family lives, and will try to work out a deal for Ian to leave the property with him. Although Victor will claim he can call off security, take a ride with Ian somewhere and transfer a fortune, Ian won't be interested in his money. Ian will want to see Victor's carcass on the floor, so he'll intend on wiping out the Newmans one by one, and he'll plan on saving Nikki for last so she can watch. After Ian pushes Victor to choose which child dies first, Victor will maintain that he's the only one who needs to be involved here. Ian will finally fire a shot at Victor, so the other Newmans will scramble to tend to him and stop the bleeding. Victor will ultimately lunge at Ian and struggle with him over the gun, so Ian will end up taking a bullet to the gut. An ambulance will be called, but Ian will assume it's coming for Victor and will invite Nick to finish him off. Nick will refuse since doesn't kill people in cold blood like Ian, and will admit it'd be pretty cool to watch him slowly suffer. Nearby, Victor will have a hard time staying conscious on the sofa as Victoria tries to stop the bleeding in his abdomen. Nikki will also urge Victor to stay with her as she tries to reassure him about the help that's on the way. The Young and the Restless spoilers say an EMT will arrive soon enough, so we'll bring you more medical predictions and updates on all the shocking news to come. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, January 29, reveal that Ian Ward will enjoy having the advantage over Victor Newman and everyone else at the ranch right now. Following Ian's decision to grab the gun off Victor's security guard, he'll make it clear that he's running the show. Of course, Ian won't want Nikki Newman to miss out on watching him torment her loved ones. It won't be long until Ian calls out to Nikki upstairs and summons her for all the drama in the living room. I and R spoilers say Nikki will make a horrifying discovery when she realizes Ian is holding a weapon on Victor, Nick Newman, and Michael Baldwin. There'll be some scary moments, but Victor will promise to protect his family and stop Ian no matter what. That's a promise Victor is going to keep, so he may fire at Ian after a struggle over the gun. Regardless, a bloody outcome is ahead for Ian, so an EMT will be called in the aftermath. Since Tessa Porter and Area Porter Copeland are still missing, Nick may insist they have to keep Ian alive long enough to score their location. Unfortunately, that plan may not work out if Ian quickly faces a grim fate. Maria Copeland's world is going to spin out all over again in the coming episodes, so she may fear the worst if Ian dies before spilling anything. Jordan already perished from the poison she ingested, and now it could be Ian's turn to take his last breath. The Newmans will have to deal with an extremely traumatic situation thanks to Ian and this heated showdown, so we'll bring you more predictions on all the chaotic news to come. Are you glad Ian is about to get what's coming to him? How will the Newmans find Tessa and Aria if Ian doesn't reveal their whereabouts? The Young and the Restless spoilers say more shockers are brewing for Mariah, so stay tuned for updates on all the wild fallout. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates tease Daniel Goddard could be making a comeback as Kane Ashby. The actor recently seemed to be posting hints on Instagram that gave his fans hope that they'd see him again. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Could Kane be on his way back? Daniel Goddard captured the hearts of viewers as Kane Ashby on The Young and the Restless. His character became so cherished that fans rallied to prevent his on-screen demise. Despite his departure from the show in 2019, recent hints suggest that Kane may be poised for a comeback in Genoa City. Goddard's immense popularity once saved his character's life, and it just might pave the way for his return after years away. An Australian actor, Goddard first graced television in the soap opera Home and Away as Eric Phillips, and after a successful modeling career, he took on a lead role. That lead role was as of Dar in the series Beastmaster. My and our spoilers. Daniel Goddard first appeared in Genoa City in 2007. In 2007, Goddard became a part of the American soap opera The Young and the Restless, portraying the character Kane Ashby. The character was adapted to be Australian, mirroring Goddard's own heritage. Originally conceived as the offspring of Philip Chancellor II and Jill Abbott, writers changed him to be the son of Colin and Genevieve Atkinson. Throughout his time on the show, Kane engaged in several romantic relationships, including those with Amber Moore, Chloe Mitchell, and Lily Winters. Tragically, Kane was written off in 2011 after being shot in a dramatic scene, yet, due to a significant backlash from fans, Goddard was brought back to the show. The narrative was then revised to reveal that Kane had survived, with his twin brother Caleb Ashby being the actual victim of the shooting. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Daniel Goddard dropped hints on Instagram. In 2019, Goddard announced he would be leaving the soap again. His exit seemed to take the character away too. However, fans think that Goddard might return to the soap soon. Recently, the actor may have given fans a hint of hope through a post on Instagram. According to Soap Central, he started the post with the caption, "Surprise, surprise." In the video, he mentioned, "I received a phone call the other day from someone I really admire, and he asked me to check out something. So here I am walking in the rain. The only issue is, the script is getting wet." My and our spoilers. Fans hope this means Daniel Goddard is reprising Kane Ashby. There have been recent rains in Los Angeles that have helped with fighting the numerous wildfires, so he may indeed be in LA in the video. Many fans of The Young and the Restless are wishing for Goddard and Kane to come back to Genoa City after watching it. In the comments, fans express their excitement. "Congrats, Daniel. I'm really happy for you. I can hear a bit of a British accent in your English, by the way. You were meant to be an actor. Your eyes shine with joy." Another, "Congrats on your upcoming role, Daniel. I hope we can see it in Australia. I'm thrilled no matter what it is. Congratulations. This is fantastic news for a Sunday." The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that February sweeps is mere days away, which is when all soaps tend to bring on the drama and chaos. Although the last 2 weeks of January have felt much like a sweeps month in Genoa City. Between Jordan's poisonous demise and Ian Ward's confrontation at the Newman Ranch, the climax of these villains and their reign of terror in the little town have been nothing short of explosive. Many fans anticipate that Ian will likely meet his demise in the days ahead. But where will that leave Tessa Porter and Aria Copeland Porter? The mom and tot went missing during the Monday, January 27 show, when Mariah Copeland frantically returned to Sharon Newman's home and announced her wife and daughter weren't at the house. Of course, Mariah, like most Y and R fans, assumes that Ian is behind this, but what if he isn't? Could there be a plot twist surrounding Tessa and Aria's absence, and potentially a new looming threat, lurking in the shadows of GC? My and R spoilers hint that Ian will get shot during the Wednesday, January 29 episode. However, will he pass away instantly? Will he tell Victor Newman and Nick Newman where he stashed Tessa and Aria? Will he taunt them and get the ultimate revenge by dying before they can get a location off him? During the Tuesday, January 28 show, Ian denied any involvement in Tessa and Aria kidnapping. What if Ian continues to deny any involvement, even on his deathbed? Could he be telling the truth? Is it possible that an unknown villain has emerged on the GC scene, unbeknownst to fans, and has kidnapped Mariah's wife and toddler? With both Ian and Jordan out of the picture, the soap could use a new dastardly baddie to stir the storyline pot. This anti-hero could be anyone from a returning Ben Stitch Rayburn to someone entirely new. Both Tessa and Mariah have shady pasts, so perhaps someone has returned to cause drama in their lives out of pure revenge. The Young and the Restless spoilers remind fans that Sweeps Month is a time to expect the unexpected, and the soap is sure to continue to bring on the drama and action during February, considering how storylines have unraveled the past few weeks. The Young and the Restless spoilers recap for Wednesday, January 29, reveals that Victor Newman will urge Ian Ward to lower his weapon and make a deal with him. Ian will decide he's going down anyway, so he'll resolve to go out in a blaze of glory and take the whole Newman clan down with him. With that in mind, Ian will threaten to shoot Nick Newman if Victor doesn't call the rest of his children to the ranch. After Victor gets Adam Newman on the phone and summons him for an emergency, he'll seemingly do the same with Abby Newman. At one point on Wednesday's I and R episode, Ian will knock out Victor's security guard so he can focus on his vengeful mission without interference. As for Michael Baldwin, he'll be offered a chance to make a quick exit since he's not a blood Newman. However, Michael will insist on standing by Victor since he's been more of a father to him than the man who brought him into this world. Adam will walk into the chaos and fume over Ian holding the Newmans hostage. After Ian calls out to Nikki Newman upstairs, she'll come down with Victoria Newman and Claire Newman. Ian will comment on the slumber party and wonder where Abby is, but Victor will eventually admit he didn't call her. Victoria will also try to convince Ian to let Claire go, but he'll think she's proven she's a Newman and will rant about her role in Jordan's demise. Ian will speculate that Claire lured Jordan into a trap and will confirm he lied earlier since Jordan was indeed his partner. After Ian admits he fell in love with Jordan, he'll insist on getting justice for her. Victor will be willing to sacrifice himself as long as the rest of his family lives, and will try to work out a deal for Ian to leave the property with him. Although Victor will claim he can call off security, take a ride with Ian somewhere, and transfer a fortune, Ian won't be interested in his money. Ian will want to see Victor's carcass on the floor, so he'll intend on wiping out the Newmans one by one, and he'll plan on saving Nikki for last so she can watch. After Ian pushes Victor to choose which child dies first, Victor will maintain that he's the only one who needs to be involved here. Ian will finally fire a shot at Victor, so the other Newmans will scramble to tend to him and stop the bleeding. Victor will ultimately lunge at Ian and struggle with him over the gun, so Ian will end up taking a bullet to the gut. An ambulance will be called, but Ian will assume it's coming for Victor and will invite Nick to finish him off. Nick will refuse since doesn't kill people in cold blood like Ian, and will admit it'd be pretty cool to watch him slowly suffer. Nearby, Victor will have a hard time staying conscious on the sofa as Victoria tries to stop the bleeding in his abdomen. Nikki will also urge Victor to stay with her as she tries to reassure him about the help that's on the way. The Young and the Restless spoilers say an EMT will arrive soon enough, so we'll bring you more medical predictions and updates on all the shocking news to come. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, January 29, wrap up the most recent invasion of Geno City by bad people who don't respect Victor Newman's authority. Time to take out the trash. Next on The Young and the Restless. First, Victor neutralized the problem that was Jordan. What's that you say? Victor had nothing to do with it. Claire, Victoria, and Nikki were the ones who found Jordan, got Jordan to Victoria's house, tricked her into spilling her secrets, and then fed her poison. Victor was completely out of the loop. Nonsense. Without Victor's guiding hand through the years, none of those scatterbrained women would have known how to pull off such a feat. They should be thanking him. And what else is that you say? Sharon rescued herself and was found by Mariah, who called Nick, who told Victor that Jordan could no longer hold Sharon's identity over their heads. Victor is to thank for that, too. See above, guiding hand, etc. You're welcome. Now that Victor has won over Jordan, he must tackle Ian. So here is what they are going to do. They will all patiently sit here and wait for Ian to come to them. No one can stay away from Victor for long. Once Ian hears how Victor outsmarted Jordan, he'll make a beeline straight for him, probably hysterical, terrified of what Victor will do to him. Sure, Ian might have a gun. He might think he has the upper hand, but no one gets the upper hand with Victor. The situation will be handled, and then the situation will also be neutralized. You're welcome, again. It may be the understatement of the decade to say that The Young and the Restless has put Sharon through the ringer. First, Ian and crazy Aunt Jordan messed with her bipolar medication, which left her seeing visions of late tormentor Cameron. Then the tag team framed her for Heather's murder. Then they also framed her for an attempt on Phyllis' life and chained her in the sewer of doom. Now, woo! Jordan has sipped her last cup of tea, and Ian is headed for his last stand. What's on the other side for Sharon? The show wants us to believe that it's a reunion with Nick. The powers that be have laid it on thick throughout Sharon's travails, having her make out with visions of her ex, and even allowing him to give her the strength to rise like a phoenix out of that damn sewer. But perhaps Young and Restless is going to pull a fast one on us. Suppose it's led us to expect a chic reunion when, in fact, it's about to reintroduce into her life another man from her past. Dylan. It's been 8 years since Sharon's husband left her to enter the witness protection program. In that time, maybe the danger has passed, and it's now safe for him to return to the woman he never stopped loving. With former portrayer Steve Burton now back on General Hospital as Jason, of course, he couldn't reprise the role. But there's a plethora of other actors who could step in as a recast. Greg Vaughn, currently off days of Oof Lives as Eric, would make a terrific Dylan. Ryan Pavey has hinted that he's considering a daytime comeback, and we can't fathom why Cody Ryan McLaughlin hasn't been snapped up by another soap already. The Young and the Restless spoilers indicate that Mariah Copeland is about to face her worst nightmare. Mariah thought finding her mother, Sharon Newman, alive and well was the end of Ian Ward's reign of terror since Jordan Howard had been neutralized. Ian Ward is acting on his own. The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that Ian has retaliated against Mariah after she told him off at society recently. Maria warned Ian away from her wife and her daughter, as well as the rest of her family. Ian was not thrilled and was furious that Mariah refused to listen to Tessa Porter when she defended him. If Ian cannot have Maria, he will just take her wife and daughter. Eventually, Mariah will come around and want to be with them. At least that may be what he's feeling in his messed up mind. However, Maria may have something very different in mind for Ian. After all, Maria has already threatened to kill Ian, Will she follow through to save her wife and daughter? I and R spoilers. Mariah Copeland loves her family. Mariah loves her family and will do whatever it takes to keep them safe. Will Mariah offer to trade places with Tessa and area Porter Copeland and allow Ian to take her hostage instead? Could Mariah be about to follow in her cousin Claire Newman's footsteps and take matters into her own hands? Will Mariah follow through with her threat to kill Ian? It certainly seems to be the Newmans against the world these days, and after what has happened to Sharon, Mariah cannot just stand by and wait for answers. Mariah certainly cannot stand by and wait for Ian to do the right thing because he doesn't know what that is. Mariah's only choice may be to take Ian out as soon as she can. The Young and the Restless spoilers, another search for loved ones. What has Ian done to Tessa and Aria? Obviously, Ian does not have the two of them with him when he shows up at Sharon's looking for her. Mariah may be tempted to kill Ian right then. However, Mariah cannot take the chance of losing her wife and daughter, not after where Jordan put Sharon. What has Ian done with Tessa and Aria? Will Ian even consider allowing Tessa to take the baby and leave him? After all, Mariah is not one to allow someone to take a part of her family away and do nothing about it. Will Mariah take matters into her own hands after seeing what Ian has done? Will realizing what Ian and Jordan had planned to do to Sharon and Claire, Mariah needs to save her daughter before it is too late? How far will Mariah go to get Aria and Tessa home?